What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Saturday, March 18th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 6-game NBA slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. So I like Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat playing the Chicago Bulls, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the third most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Tyler Hero has averaged 36.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate. He's projected at 37.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.3 times value. He's 7,000 DraftKings salary, 300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 218 points scored in this game, and Tyler Hero has scored 40, 31, and 24 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 37, and 26 minutes. But I like this pick because Tyler Hero has scored 38, 38, 35, 35, and 29 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Bulls. So consistently scoring 35 fantasy points or more the last 4 games versus the Bulls. So I like Tyler Hero here versus the Chicago Bulls. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. Here's a value play that I still think has room to run. I like Malik Monk from the Sacramento Kings playing the Washington Wizards, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Malik Monk has averaged 24.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 23 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate. He's projected at 24.6 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.2 times value. He's 4,700 DraftKings salary, 700 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 236 points scored in this game, and Malik Monk has scored 28, 34, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 23, and 20 minutes. And Malik Monk has scored 31, 25, and 33 fantasy points in his last 3 games versus the Wizards. So I like Malik Monk here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. This is probably my favorite value play on the slate. I like Dillon Brooks from the Memphis Grizzlies playing the Golden State Warriors, who have the 8th worst defense overall, give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Dillon Brooks has averaged 24.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 24.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 5,000 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 236.5 points scored in this game. Now, Dillon Brooks has scored 32, 10, and 36 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 40, 26, and 32 minutes. Now, this is a back-to-back, but Dillon Brooks, he scored 33, 23, 16, 48, and 26 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Warriors. And you got half the slate on a back-to-back here tonight, so it's going to be hard to avoid these. And Dillon Brooks should be good to go for 30 plus minutes here tonight. He's averaging 0.82 fantasy points per minute. So I like Dillon Brooks here versus the Golden State Warriors. Okay, everyone, it's time to announce the winner of our $25 weekly PayPal giveaway. And the winner is Hudson Wren. Hudson Wren, congratulations. You are the winner of this week's $25 PayPal giveaway. Please reply to our comment to collect your prize. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. Here's another value play I think is interesting. Take a look at Aaron Nesmith from the Indiana Pacers playing the Philadelphia 76ers. Who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing power forwards. Aaron Nesmith has averaged 19.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. Now, he's projected at 20.1 fantasy points here tonight, but he has been playing over 30 minutes the last two games. So I'm going to bump his fantasy points up to 27 fantasy points. That would be 5 times value. He's 5,300 DraftKings salary, 400 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 234 points scored in this game. And Aaron Nesmith has scored 33 and 34 fantasy points in his last two games, playing 31 and 30 minutes. So I like Aaron Nesmith here versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, if you're not feeling Aaron Nesmith, you think there might be a little bit too much risk in that play because you're not sure how many minutes he's going to play. Aaron Nesmith, if he plays 30 minutes or more, I think he is good to hit value. But how many minutes he's going to play does remain in question. So if you want a guy that should get 30 minutes or more, no problem, and he's actually a little bit cheaper on both sites, take a look at Harrison Barnes from the Sacramento Kings playing the Washington Wizards, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They've been pretty good versus opposing power forwards. Harrison Barnes has averaged 25.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 25.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 5,200 DraftKings salary, 100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 236 points scored in this game. Harrison Barnes has scored 22, 23, and 20 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 35, and 30 minutes. So Harrison Barnes, his minutes are more secure than Aaron Nesmith, but you can see he's not performing as well the past couple of games despite playing more minutes. So Harrison Barnes, I like this pick because he scored 17, 32, 32, 28, and 28 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Wizards. So I like Harrison Barnes here versus the Washington Wizards. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Just one more value play that I caught before I move on here. I like Caleb Martin from the Miami Heat playing the Chicago Bulls, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing power forwards. Caleb Martin has averaged 21.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate, projected at 21.7 fantasy points here tonight, just about 5 times value. He's $4,400 DraftKings salary, $600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 218 points scored in this game. Caleb Martin has scored 21 and 19 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 29 and 26 minutes. So we hope that Caleb Martin can return to playing an average of 30 minutes a game. So I like Caleb Martin here versus the Chicago Bulls. And one more value play at the power forward position before we move on here. Take a look at Keegan Murray from the Sacramento Kings playing the Washington Wizards, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, although they've been pretty good versus opposing power forwards. Keegan Murray has averaged 22.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. He's projected at 23.7 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.5 times value. He's $4,300 DraftKings salary, $800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 236 points scored in this game, and Keegan Murray has scored 19 and 25 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 31 and 29 minutes. So I like Keegan Murray here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, moving on to the center position. So he's on a back-to-back, but I think you got to consider Kevon Looney from the Golden State Warriors playing the Memphis Grizzlies, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, middle-of-the-pack defending opposing centers. Kevon Looney has averaged 24.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 24 minutes per game with an 11% usage rate. He's projected at 23.9 fantasy points here tonight, but I think he can score 27 fantasy points or more, get you 5 times value or more. He's $5,500 DraftKings salary, $400 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 236.5 points scored in this game, and Kevon Looney has scored 52, 25, and 33 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 25, and 26 minutes. So he is on a back-to-back, but he can put up plenty of fantasy points even if he only plays his season average of 24 minutes. He's averaging 1.07 fantasy points per minute. So I like Kevon Looney here versus the Memphis Grizzlies. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smackety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.